All right. So welcome everybody to the video version of CastaBlasta Season 3, Episode 8, I believe. This one, you're in for a treat if you're watching the video version because you're going to watch us sweat like dogs. It's like 100 degrees in the studio. Between just being a warm day outside, it's also super hot with studio lights. Like studio lights put off, like you could be in a cold day and all you have to do, what?
You're half cut off.
Just in general? Like I'm out of frame, or is it the green screen? Maybe it's my shirt.
No, you're better now. The camera got bumped.
Oh, okay. All right. Sorry, everybody, if you couldn't see me. So, yeah. So, it's really warm. These lights are so hot that you could actually warm a cold room with them. So when you have a hot room.
Wow.
Yeah. We need to have a powder girl come around, preferably in a bikini, and pat our foreheads. So.
I would like a powder girl.
All right. So I'm ready to kick off the show, Brian, whenever you is ready.
Woo. I'm ready.
All right. Tell me when, and I'll hit the big record.
Feeling pretty good.
All right. You feeling good?
Let's rock this.
Let's do it. Here we go in 3, 2.
And welcome, everybody.
Oh, shit. I forgot.
We're going to try this again, guys.
Let me turn that off.
We don't need that.
I turned it on, but then I turned.
Well, we would like to keep a steady rhythm, Chris.
We should.
Yeah.
We
Hey,
should
you want to
work on
pass me your liquid over there? I need some liquid encouragement, and by that I mean ice water.
Yeah, we got a big pitcher of ice water because it's really hot, so we're gonna try to stay hydrated. I'm not gonna lie to you though, it's Everett water. Ryan's from Everett. Everett does not have very tasty water.
What are you talking about? Everett's got some of the best water.
Yeah, that's what people say, but I just don't like the taste of it.
It doesn't really have a taste.
Yeah, it does.
It doesn't.
Yes, it does.
You want this back?
Yeah.
You need it close.
I'm gonna have to rub up against it here in a minute.
Oh, okay.
All right, you ready? Tell me when to hit the thing, and I'll do the thing, and we'll go.
Let's do this thing.
Here we go. 3, 2.
And welcome to CastaBlasta, Season 3, Episode 27.
Episode 8.
18?
8?
Maybe, give or take. Well, it's the big E3 episode, one way or the other. My name is Brian. With me, of course, is Chris.
Hey, Brian.
And John. No, John's not here. Oh, and Jeremy. Nope.
Okay, but I got good reason.
Not here.
I told you before the show. One, John is judging a pony competition, and Jeremy wanted to make it, but he's just in the thralls of a massive staring contest, and he couldn't be pulled away.
Huh.
I mean, you understand.
Yep.
Ponies in staring contests.
Yep. No, it's cool. It's just that they're missing the biggest video game news show of the year, you guys. The year. This is what you guys are missing. The biggest video game show of the year. E3 was today.
Is it
E3.
Is it the biggest gaming show of the year?
Of the year, you guys. So it's cool. It's not a big deal. Jeremy and John, for those of you who are not fully aware, tend to give me a hard time because every 2 weeks I sit down and I put together a list of news items, if you will.
There you go.
In the vernacular of our time. And I put together this list. Oh, let's talk about Transformers. Let's talk about Star Trek. The things we'll talk about. And they give me a hard time. Brian, when are we going to spend more time talking about video games? And I'm like, guys, just wait for it. There's going to be this big show coming called E3. And it will be the biggest video game show of the year.
Wow.
And they're like, oh, that's true. That'll be great. And they're not here. So good. Way to go, guys. All right.
I just wanted to say we're recording this in a video version. So if you're watching this, we're on the bridge of the Enterprise.
Right. And we're warm on the bridge of the Enterprise, which kind of means that our deflector shields are down, and we're getting a little too close to a sun.
Yeah.
Right
Here,
now.
you entertain the folks for a second. I'm going to go massage the video. Why don't you just kick off with our first story, and I'll join you in just a second.
All right. Well, let's. As you may already know, there goes Captain Chris. We typically do a lot of spoilers in the show. Not this episode. This episode is not a spoiler-heavy episode, and that's thanks in part to the fact that a lot of the sci-fi shows are over with. We finished Fringe, we finished 24, we finished just so many shows. I mean, Dollhouse is done. They're all just done. And so we're not really going to be talking about that. We're also not going to do any big movie reviews this episode. We do have a lot of movie news and general TV and sci-fi news at the end of the show, but we're going to focus entirely on the games because I really like the games. So today was the start of E3. Well, if you like games, Chris, you should really come and get in shot. You want to flip the thing around before you come? You bump the camera. There you go. Hey, all right.
It's so cool today, though. We're on the bridge of the Enterprise, and I'm wearing a Star Trek shirt.
We're on the bridge of the Enterprise, and you're wearing a Star Trek shirt. It's pretty awesome. All right, so Nintendo and Microsoft and Sony kicked off the day with essentially
my headphones are wet. It's really hot.
My ears are a little damp at the moment. Was back-to-back press conferences. Microsoft started the day, followed by Nintendo, then Sony.
Right.
So this was interesting because they were about an hour to 2 hours apart, each of them. So you could really see one right after another how badly each of these companies was going to screw up on things.
Wait a minute. That makes it sound like you're waiting for them to fail.
Well, kinda. Let's be honest. I am Brian, after all.
Okay.
This is kind of what I do.
So do you want to start off with
Let's start off. You know what? I thought this would be interesting to go in chronological order of the day. There was a lot of big news coming out of E3.
Okay.
And some of it's not even video game related, and we're going to get to all that. But I want to start in chronological order. So let's start with Microsoft's
So
press
Microsoft had the
conference.
first one. They had the first slot.
Yep.
And it was a pretty big show. They had a really fancy setup, and they had
huge.
lots of effects and screens, and
It was huge.
it was a big deal. It was a really big deal.
And it was a great presentation. If you can head over to sites like Gizmodo and whatnot for the roundup and some pictures, and I recommend it just so you can see what's happening and all that sort of thing.
So let's see. I know there's a few things that jump out at me that Microsoft announced. I'll start with
a ton of things.
Again, the first thing that I just like, because I'll probably use it the most out of everything they announced, is the 1080p Netflix rentals, because I just think having Netflix on the Xbox is awesome. Now,
and in 1080p.
Well, but again, 1080p is just not again, but I'll just say this: the 1080p just means the resolution of the picture. It's just a 1920 by 1080 picture. So the bit rate and the quality of that picture is not defined by the term 1080p. But it is a good sign that it's going to look good. But it could be like, an 800 kilobit video, and that's just not going to look very good.
So
we'll see.
Sure,
The proof will be when they do it.
And plus, they're kind of getting rid of the whole Xbox rental store, and they're combining it with Zune now. So Zune is
but the thing
now
is,
all
though,
together.
but no, it's not.
What do you mean?
The videos that they have in 1080p are not available in the Zune store.
What?
Yeah, well, because the videos are being supplied by Netflix in 1080p.
Wait, what?
Yeah. So my understanding is the videos in 1080p are coming from Netflix, and they're the videos that you can normally buy from the Microsoft Video Store are still the standard 720p videos. That's my understanding. It's
I had no idea.
I think I might be wrong, but by looking at the article on Gizmodo, it looks like the 1080p is being driven by Netflix.
Well, look at the bright side. Now you can chat with Twitter on your Xbox.
Yeah.
So that's cool, right?
Well, you do have that keypad thing for the
controller. I've got the keypad thing. I can chat on Twitter on my Xbox.
Okay, well here's where it could. Well, now hold up. Here's where Twitter on the Xbox could be cool.
Okay.
Hey guys, I'm about to jump into this game, and I just thought everybody could come join me. If you integrate I'm about to play this game, come join me on Xbox Live into Twitter, that could be cool.
Yeah.
Like as a way to get people to join you on Xbox Live and sort of organize. Like I would love to go onto Twitter and get CastaBlasta fans to come hang out in an Xbox Live game session.
Oh, that
with
would
us.
be cool.
Hey everybody, let's go Call of Duty. Hey everybody, we're Call of Duty
I'm with
4
that.
But that's the only use for Twitter. I'm not going to sit there and be like, oh man, this sandwich was so tasty.
On your Xbox.
Yeah, that's just not what I'm doing.
See, that's the thing. If you're on the it's ugh. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There's a little bit of ick there.
All right, so
now that's all cool, but that's all kind of the small stuff. The really big stuff that Microsoft came out with was their body controlling thing.
Yeah.
So they came out with, and they're like, you know what? Nintendo's all big and happening with their Wiimote.
With the motion, yeah.
And of course, the Wiimote is the biggest tard of a game controller ever designed.
Brian and I,
it's not a video game controller.
Both
even. It
agree
has no,
that the Wiimote is not fun for us. I think John likes it, and he has a Wii, so he would be here to defend it. But in our opinion, it's just not a fun gaming experience. Not a true fun in the sense of a first-person shooter type gaming experience. It can be fun in a group to do Wii bowling and things like that. But outside of those contexts, it's not really for serious gaming in our opinion.
No, not at all.
Yeah, okay.
Not at all.
So now, how's the Xbox One different? Is your body the whole controller?
So the Xbox One is different in that it uses the camera and it figures out what the heck you're doing. It kind of does
the
like
standard camera. I thought it was like a new device.
I believe it's a new device, but it's essentially just a camera.
Okay.
And it just kind of watches you and figures it out, and so then you can use your whole body as a controller. And from the press conference, the videos they did of it kind of made you think it was awesome. It looked great.
Yeah.
Like it seemed to work really well, as opposed to Wii's thing where you have a Wiimote and you're playing tennis and you go swing, and a second later your guy on the screen swings a tennis racket in a completely different way than you just swung yours.
I don't know, though. Again, I'm gonna kind of call gimmick, I think. I gotta say, I'll wait and make a final judgment.
I'm kind of with you on that one.
But I just don't know. I don't know in what gaming marathon I'm going to want to be up and active like that.
No,
let's be honest.
Yeah,
I don't play video games to be an active gamer.
I don't either. I mean, but really, if you're going to have the ability to be active, what would you rather have? Something where you could actually do karate moves and have it do something on the screen, or have a little thing in your hand that you go and just get carpal tunnel, and then your guy doesn't do anything.
No,
real.
I do agree with you.
I mean, so if basically what it is Nintendo's Wii
Here's what I like about
is a gimmick, and Microsoft just came to the table and said, you know what, Nintendo, okay, we'll play your gimmick, but we'll do it 10,000 times better than you.
Well, we don't know yet.
How you doing?
We can't say that yet, but here's what I'll say.
That's true. It's not shipping yet.
Here's what I'll say is this. Is on the Xbox, I hope it remains just like an accessory option for some games. See, where on the Wii, it's like an integral part to a lot of the games. Where if you're going to Wii game, you have to use this remote.
It's an after-the-fact, after-party thing for the 360.
I feel like
it's going to be like a Rock Band deal, where a lot of people play those kinds of games, and they'll go out and grab the Rock Band controllers, but it's not what the 360 or the PlayStation, etc.
Right, and that's what I like about it. Now, but the thing is, I'm still waiting for Microsoft to truly innovate in the gaming console space, and this isn't.
Except for Live.
I feel like
Come on. Xbox Live and the gaming console space is the best multiplayer experience there is.
But there was PlayStation Network first.
Yeah, but PlayStation Network never had.
But there's no new idea there. It's just bring it in house and ensure the quality by charging.
Yeah, but if you want to go that route, I mean, the Sega Dreamcast network existed before either of them, and was better than the PlayStation Network until recently.
I would just like to see, I don't like the Wiimote. But it was new to the game consoles, at least this.
But this one isn't a Wiimote. This one's just it's just like a camera, so you can use your whole body. And this is really, what Nintendo's trying to accomplish with their Wiimote thing and all their accessories that go with it. But they're not.
That said, hey, you got to give Microsoft props here.
You got to.
They're getting life out of this 360. I mean, they last E3 they introduced the new Microsoft Xbox experience that we got in the fall, and they did Netflix, and now this time they're bringing 1080p rentals and the motion. So
dude, having Netflix on the 360 is tight.
This current generation of consoles, at least in terms of the PS3 and the 360, we're definitely seeing
they're awesome.
We're seeing the companies get the most leg room out of them.
And and so Microsoft also showed off some of the new games that were coming and whatnot, and they look great. But they aren't like groundbreaking, change everything games.
Right.
They just it's like sequels to existing titles, yada yada yada. We know about those, fantastic.
Yeah.
So the bulk of what they were demoing was the fact that you've got this cool motion control, the full body controls for the 360, and that they're treating the 360, the new experience, as kind of an interactive platform where they are bringing more and more applications to it, like Twitter and things like that. I don't like the
new Xbox compared to the old one, the new experience.
I know. I really liked the old Xbox UI much better,
I wish you could switch back.
Yeah, I kind of do.
I wish
also.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
So let's move on.
So that happened. It was impressive. You know what I mean? It wasn't necessarily what I needed to see, but at least it was something worthwhile.
Do we want to talk about some of the games that have been announced for the 360, or do you want to save those for later?
No, we'll save those for later.
Okay.
All right. So let's move on to the Nintendo little press conference.
All right.
Here.
So Nintendo had their.
It was about 2 hours or so, I believe, after the Microsoft one. So everyone was pretty hyped up. It was exciting.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone was like, "Wow, Microsoft did a really good job with that." And so we're like, "Well, let's see what's coming out for the Wii."
So I guess before the Nintendo conference kicked off, they had like little Nintendo facts up on their TV on big monitors. It's like, did you know the Wii is outselling the PlayStation 2 and things like that?
Yeah, basically, the Wii. Oh my gosh, the Wii outselling the PlayStation 2. All right.
Well,
that's great.
The thing is like a lot of like the Xbox and the PS3 aren't outselling the PS2.
I know,
but yeah,
still, I mean,
it's
like, I mean, come on, Sony right now is selling 3 main video game consoles, and you're comparing against the one that they made
like
how many years ago?
Yeah, I agree with you.
I mean,
I just thought it was funny.
Come on, Nintendo. And honestly, I'm okay with that. If what companies, and Nintendo is one of them that counts in this. The Wii has sold enough that they earned the right to brag about it.
Yeah, for
That's
sure.
just the way it is. But you know what? If you're going to brag about it, do it in an awesome way. Don't come out. I mean, that's like coming out and saying, look at the Wii. It's so much faster than a Sega Genesis. We beat the Sega Genesis 4-1.
That's funny.
I mean, it's like, come on, guys, get real. So
All right.
anyway, so the Nintendo thing started. And Nintendo guys get up there and went, woo, whoop-de-doo. And you guys are just going to be blown away with what we're going to give you today.
All right, so what do we get?
Well, we got a new dongle for the Wiimote.
All right, I like dongles.
It's a little thing that plugs into it. It's essentially like the existing wrist strap, and it gives you a little bit better control, but not much.
Okay.
Yay! So they really revolutionized
the
Wiimote dongle wrist strap market today.
They announced the Wii Fit
Lord.
Plus.
The second Wii Fit 2, basically. Which looks exactly like their existing game called Wii Fit.
But they have like more interactive games.
But basically they've had a year to add a few more mini games to Wii Fit.
I've thought about getting a Wii just for the Wii Fit though.
Sure, but you know what? Come on.
Because it's an interesting way. It's like having, in a very, very minor way, it's kind of like having a personal trainer in a sense, because they have you do different exercises and they keep track of your weight loss.
Wait a minute. Let's back up a second here.
Right,
I thought you were against moving around for your games.
Right. I would never use it to play video games.
But no.
I would only be using it for
from
exercise.
the point of view of working out. The Wii Fit makes you hold a baton and you get a little balance board.
Yeah.
And you only get to do things that involve moving your feet.
Right.
Or moving one hand.
But
that's the only thing Wii Fit gets you. Now, if you go the 360 route, it's the entire body.
Oh, for sure. I'm going to wait to see what they come out with that.
I'm just saying.
The balance board actually has like they can determine a lot of what you're doing based on the pressure.
And it has a built-in scale.
and it can so it can tell like if you're doing certain stretches and stuff. So that's one thing.
It's got a built-in scale, which means that you can get on top of it, and Wii Fit knows how much you weigh, and then it judges you. So that means your video game is like, Chris, you're too fat.
That's the point. Well, no, that's what it would be for. It would be something to just keep me motivated. But that said,
I do not need my video games judging me. I'm just going to say this flat out.
The 360 motion system has a better possibility for like overall exercises, but then they don't have the board you step on to help you keep track of your weight. So I'm just saying. It's one area where I would consider getting a Wii and a Wii Fit board, not to play video games, but just to exercise.
So that's all that Nintendo basically had to show off, other than the fact that they're making yet another Mario Galaxy game, which is great. Because
the side-scrolling Mario, I could be down for, though.
You know what, though? Give
me side-scrolling.
Here's the problem I have with it. Graphically, it looked just like the Nintendo DS Super Mario game.
It looked like, I think it looked like more like the N64 with maybe a little nicer graphics.
But it was 2D.
I'm okay with 2D. I'm okay with side-scrolling, but it did not look that good.
And in fact, it really didn't look that good.
I thought it looked worse than GameCube games.
And it totally did.
Now I'm looking at screenshots, and you never know. Maybe it's not a finished product.
Here's the problem.
It could be still in development.
The Nintendo Wii has like the lowest resolution of any game console, I believe, in history. I believe if you put it side to side with a 2600, I believe the Wii actually has a lower resolution.
It's 480p.
But they blasted it
DVD
through a huge ass projector.
That might have been why it looked
onto
bad.
like a 20-foot wall. Yeah. But here's the thing.
That's
Microsoft and Sony both did that, and their games looked like butter.
That's because
holy moly, they look good.
Well, what's interesting? Interesting note, just a side note. The Xbox 360 doesn't have 1080p gameplay, but it can do 1080p video.
Yeah,
different beast, I guess. But the PS3 does have 1080p.
Does
gameplay.
1080p
So
gameplay.
the PS3 is always going to look the best if you have all the right equipment in the game.
We'll get to the Sony thing in a second.
But as far as the Wii stuff goes,
it was so underwhelming. Basically, I read through all of it. I looked through all the pictures, caught a little bit of video clip smuggled out.
I don't mean to hate on the Wii so much, but with the new Mario side-scrolling game, I am a sucker for those Mario side-scrolling games. It's just something in me. I love those things. But if you have to use the motion remote, the Wiimote, and point where it goes, I might be out. If I can break out like the old style controller or hold the Wiimote sideways and use its buttons, I'm probably down with that. And then I'll be like, well, what's a Wii? $150.
What they
Wii Fit board in the Mario game? I'm like, sure, why not?
They had during the demo was they had attachments for the controller where they were holding the controller like a regular NES controller.
Now here's the thing,
so that might be okay.
You speak the truth though about the resolution, because right now the room I'd want to put it in would be my downstairs room, which has the largest TV, and it's going to look the worst.
It's going to look like ass.
So
by comparison,
that's an issue.
It's going to look awful.
Yeah,
and it basically it's the 360 is not state of the art right now. It's just not.
No.
It's a good machine. Sure, there's great games coming out for it with good graphics. They're adding a lot of cool new stuff, 1080p video. That's all fantastic. But when Microsoft comes out and one-ups what the Wii can accomplish, and then just basically says, all right, so we're better than the Wii at the Wii's game and 1080p video.
Well, we don't
and
know
all
yet.
this stuff.
Hold on now.
Well, but I mean,
you don't know. The motion games might be...
I'm just saying
for
that.
For all you know, that camera, might like just suck.
But I mean, the
like
majority of them. But I mean, the Wiimote sucks. I mean, it's not even usable.
You're in your living room where you have big windows with lots of light coming in.
Oh yeah, it might not work.
It might not work. I mean, it's supposed to be, I think, infrared, but even still, you just never.
So yeah,
we might get it, and we might be like, this thing's butt.
No, I agree, but I'm just saying, as it is, the Wiimote's not usable for a gamer. It's just not.
Yeah, I do agree.
So I'm just saying,
I know there's a lot of
if
listeners
Microsoft comes out with something that is almost semi-usable but not quite, it just beat Nintendo at their own game.
Right.
I mean, it's still gimmicky, but they just did that.
Yeah, I got you.
Now, I'm probably not going to go buy this thing. I'm probably not going to.
Not unless there is something like, okay, here's one potentially cool. What if you and I could like box without like actually having to hit each other because we're wussies? But
I'm with you on that one, yeah.
That'd be kind of cool, right?
Yeah, that would be kind of cool.
Just something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. Or like, keep talking a second. I got to drink ice water.
I just think if it was something that involved, and especially when you incorporate live, if there's something you could involve where you become the character and it's a full body experience, like those guys that wear the CG suits. You know, they're like Gollum and like, where it's like he becomes that character. That could be
great. It could be phenomenal.
Well, see, I think
the
problem is in order to pull it off, the 360 doesn't have the processing power that it needs to have.
No,
because that kind of full body range tracking and then it's not just the body tracking and on the motion, it's also then rendering and updating the screen and also sending data potentially over Xbox Live. So there's a lot of other. I just don't think the 360 is up for it. So I just don't think it's gonna be executed. But who knows? We'll see.
Yeah. No, Nintendo Wii sucks. All right, so Nintendo was the second big conference of the day, and basically it was just a big letdown.
They
after
were
the
meat
360
in a Microsoft Sony
sandwich. Right. I expected Nintendo, and I'm not the biggest Nintendo fanboy lately, but come on. There was a time when Nintendo as a word was synonymous with playing video games.
I thought we were talking about Sony now.
Now hold on a sec. Come on. I got things to say.
We're gonna upset people, but all right, go.
There was a movie called Hudson Hawk, starring Bruce Willis, that came out a long time ago in the 90s. And he makes several references to playing Nintendo. Not playing video games, but playing Nintendo.
Right. He played Nintendo.
And it's just a given that it's understood that that's what you say when you want to go home and play video games.
That's what my brother and I used to always say.
You go play Nintendo.
I used to be like, hey, you want to go play Nintendo?
And you know what? Nowadays, it's let's go play not Nintendo. Anything but Nintendo. That's like if we're gonna get together and like, oh, let's all play party. What do you want to play? Well, I don't want to play with the Wii. I'll play you with your PS3. I'll play with your 360. We can LAN party, but I am not under any circumstances playing with the Wii. I mean, really.
I got you.
That's what it's coming down to for hardcore gamers nowadays.
I got you.
And that's where Nintendo has come from. So I expected Nintendo to come out here and at the very least show off some hardcore games. You know what I mean? Show off a Metroid that just blew us away.
Well, I saw one screenshot of the new Metroid. It was not.
It looks worse than the GameCube Metroid.
I think so too. I don't know.
And the GameCube Metroid was good a long time ago.
Yeah, I just don't know what it is. I don't know if it's the in development stuff or what.
It looks weak. They failed to deliver on any level. And then a few hours later, I think about 2 hours later, Sony takes the stage. And basically, they decided to do the same thing as Microsoft. Let's one-up Nintendo.
Mm-hmm. They did their motion thing.
Let's put in the motion thing. And what Sony decided to do was essentially take a cue from Nintendo's playbook, and they have a little wand type thing.
It's different looking, though.
What it is, and this is actually a great idea. So it's a camera plus a wand. So instead of having a thing with motion feedback and bars and everything like the Wii, which is a bad idea, what they did was they used the little Sony Eye camera that you can already use to play like the card games and whatnot, and they also give you a wand with like a giant, colorful, fuzzy ball at the end. Mm-hmm. And then you can go around and move it, and it tracks the movements of the ball and the orientation of the wand.
Right.
And so they're like, well, you know what? We're just getting going with this, so let's show you some demos of it. And the demos looked ridiculous. Basically, because of it's an eye, it actually could take video of you as you're playing it and insert digital 3D stuff into you.
What?
So basically, if you're standing there holding a tennis racket,
okay,
it could have video of you
So in the video playback,
in the
I'm
video
holding a
playback,
tennis
you're
racket.
holding a 3D tennis racket.
That's cool.
And
I
it
did
moves,
see that.
and it moves with your hand. A sword, a lightsaber, all these sorts of things that are like, well, that's awesome.
That
of
is
course,
cool.
that's cool. And so basically, they showed that, and the general consensus is that of everyone that was in attendance is it was the most impressive thing along those lines that they'd ever seen. In terms of actual motion control, they said that actually looked right. Like there weren't like frame scripts. Like with the
That's
Wii,
what I was wondering.
With the Wii, you move the remote around on the screen, and your little mouse pointer like jiggles all over the frickin' place because the resolution's terrible and the technology was a poor choice and all this sort of thing. From what everyone's saying is that on the PS3, their new combination of the camera and the little wand thing with the fuzzy ball with the thing on the top, which just basically looks like a toque with a little on it, and they're just moving it, and it's supposedly fluid and smooth as silk and exactly accurate looking. And it was live demos.
What's cool is the live insertion of the whatever
That's
it
just
is.
way cool.
And I think now we were just really briefly I was talking about the power of the different platforms, and I really think this shows. I believe the PS3 has the most future headroom in terms of things they can do with the power of that machine.
And for sure.
Microsoft would have loved to be able to pull that off if they could have.
Oh, heck yeah. They would have loved to be able to pull that off.
Yeah.
And it's just fantastic.
So that's that. So,
that
what
was
they call it?
impressive.
I couldn't remember what they called it. I couldn't.
See, I don't remember either. Honestly, whatever they're calling it is probably going to change before it ships.
It's
not
but what's
shipping
the
yet.
fundamental difference between that and the Wiimote when you take away the usability aspect? It's still
the same basic idea.
There's still too many. There's the still core issue is I'm not going to want to do it.
Right. That's pretty much what it comes down to. Is
unless you can make it awesome somehow that I haven't thought of yet.
That's the thing.
But if you don't,
well, see, here's the thing.
It's just gonna be a party toy
when the
again.
Wii first hit, the one thing we were all like, dude, I want a sword fight with that. That was the one thing we were all like, you know what? I want to have a lightsaber, and I want to get into a lightsaber fight. The Wii, it works so bad, it's not possible to do it right. But with the PS3, from the demo they gave, which included a lightsaber, we could actually do that now. Now, granted, I'm not going to want it for most of my games, and if Sony overused it, I would bitch slap them.
I think too. Yeah, exactly. But this is the thing: is it's not an integral component to the platform. It is just it is just an option that
it's just
a
an
subset
option,
of games will have.
right? And Sony has said flat out that the PS3 is a 10-year system, where they're not going to end of life this thing until it's been around for 10 years, and I think it's out for 4 now.
It might be 4.
So it's roughly similar to the 360 in that regard. They're both long-term systems, and what I liked was that both Microsoft and Sony were showing that they're really committed to it. Which honestly, they don't even have to be worried about coming out with new generation hardware because the 360 and the PS3 compare reasonably well. Sure, the PS3 is more powerful, has better graphics, etc., etc.
Yeah.
But they're not so different that they can't compete.
Right.
Now the Wii though, it's like. I mean, come on! It's a GameCube. It is a GameCube. That is what it is. And so, if it's just a GameCube, well, why would Microsoft or Sony even have to worry? All they have to do is make sure that they take away the one gimmick Nintendo had, and then forget them.
It's
Nintendo.
funny though. You say that.
I do say
that. And
that.
then I look at two things. One, the first thing I look at is right now Sony's not copying Microsoft. Sony is copying Nintendo. And Microsoft is copying Nintendo in several ways.
Yep.
The new interface has, the avatars, the Miis.
Yeah.
They did the motion thing. I mean, they are not copying Microsoft and Sony. They're copying Nintendo.
Nope.
It's
You're right.
It's one of those things where, we sit here and we dog on it. We're like, it's not what we like. It's not this. It's not that. And then you look at it and they're like, oh, well,
I'm saying Nintendo did some things right. What they did wrong was their games and their hardware. Which is the two key parts of all of it.
And that said, I would like Sony to copy Microsoft in the
and now Sony is starting to
Netflix
copy
streaming.
Microsoft in the live space.
I want
they're
Netflix
making the
streaming on
PlayStation
the
Network
PlayStation.
more and more like Microsoft Live. Well, they are.
I don't need it. I want Netflix streaming.
Yeah, Netflix streaming is nice. All right,
if you get a good game on the PlayStation, like Call of Duty 4, it handles the network gaming, and you don't.
Yep.
Live is still nicer. The invite system is still nicer, and all that.
And the achievements on the 360 is cooler than the trophies on the PlayStation 3.
Yeah, I agree.
It's
there
for
too.
sure.
But the thing is overall, if you get the right game, it compensates for not having live. But when at the end of the day, I've got my PlayStation 3 gets used way more as a Blu-ray player, and it would be used more as a Netflix streamer if it had it. That's
no,
all
that's
I'm
true.
saying. All right, so that's Sony.
So they also came out with the PSP Go.
Yeah. Now, what do you think of this?
That was the other big deal.
You're a PSP fan.
I love my PSP. Now, they kind of made the PSP a little bit smaller than the original for a while, and that's what we've got currently. And the PSP Go is basically take the PSP, include 16 gigs of flash memory inside of it, and of course it has Wi-Fi just like the previous ones, and get rid of the universal mini disc slot entirely, and get rid of the controls entirely off the front, and make it so that you have to slide it open, and then you have less controls than the current PSP does. The little analog nub is
less
gone.
controls?
Yep, they got rid of the analog nub.
Oh.
I believe, did they get rid of the analog nub?
I'm
pretty sure
they
did.
The thing about that is that analog nub is nice for a first-person shooter.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the analog nub is gone.
I'll look it up while you talk.
Grab a picture of that. But basically, the controls are smaller. The unit is much smaller, much thinner, much lighter than the existing PSP, and it will integrate with the PlayStation Store.
Right. That's how you get your games.
That's how you get your games. So
what
now,
do you think of that?
So I actually kind of think it's cool.
No more disc distribution. You have to download now. That for some people is not good because the bandwidth situation for them is where they can barely download these podcasts.
So PlayStation. So Sony has committed to all PlayStation portable games coming out from now forward will be on both.
Okay, it still has the analog nub.
It still has the nub. It's just kind of hidden.
They moved it. They moved it because it was on the left of the control pad before, right?
No, it's still in the
really
same spot.
smashed
It's just cramped
together
in there. Yeah,
I don't like how smashed together it is. But yeah, okay.
I'm not sure I'm a big fan of it so far. I mean, the idea is cool.
The idea
is cool. I can be on the go and grab a new game, and that's fantastic. I actually kind of dig that.
Oh, can you do that?
Yeah, it's.
I thought you had
the store is available on device.
Oh, I thought you had to buy the store. Okay,
it's like walking around with an iPhone, except it's actually good at games.
The thing too is, look at these specs. Okay, so it's a 3.8 inch display.
Yeah.
They haven't yet disclosed what the resolution of that is. It's 43% lighter than the current PSP. It's got Bluetooth built in. Supports tethering with Bluetooth headsets for multi-gaming.
Yep.
It does have a memory stick slot. Yay. And it also, along with being able to purchase video games through the store, you can also buy and rent TV and movies.
Yeah.
So that's kind of cool.
So that is very cool. Of course, the downside is, if you download games onto your device, you don't have the old tried and true method of being able to collect your games for playback many years down the road.
What do you mean?
Like I can with an old NES.
What do you mean? What do you mean?
If I have a PlayStation Portable and I download the games onto the device, if the PlayStation network goes away for any reason, which I have no reason to think it'll be around forever, and my flash memory gets wiped out, or there's only 16 gigs of storage in there,
that's the problem.
I can only fit,
but I think,
say 16 to 32 games.
Is there's some information they haven't yet disclosed regarding it. Still interfaces with the PS3 like the current PSP does.
Sure.
But there's also some additional functionality that they haven't talked about yet, and I'm betting you can back up your games to your PS3.
If I could, well, not just the PS3, if I could find a way to burn my games to a disc.
I don't think you can do that.
See, that's the problem.
I don't think you're going to be able to do that.
So if I've got a PSP and a PS3, that's great for the next 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
but you say that, but then you've got you still have working versions of every console ever. So
this is exactly what I'm saying.
But you still have those consoles.
Right.
So you could still hook them up and play them. If they had on-device games, you would still be able to play them today.
Except that we're talking about being able to store. Are you saying that you have complete faith that a 3.5-inch hard drive will not ever fail?
No, I agree. They need to.
This is what I'm saying. But there's no good way to store them permanently.
Yeah, that's true.
This is I'm perfectly okay. Like I said,
if they let you re-download, then that would be fine for as long as the store
was up.
Yeah.
And if there was a way I could, even if I couldn't burn them, if they made me use an application to transfer them to another machine to back up or something like that, that would probably get around it. But I want to be able to play my games in the future. What if, I've still got, I've got a TurboGrafx 16 at home and all these old systems. I want to be able to plug them in and play them every now and then.
So is this a showstopper for you to be able to buy this thing?
The PlayStation Go?
Yeah.
The PlayStation Portable Go? Oh, absolutely. But
really,
they're not,
because of this issue?
Absolutely. But they're not stopping to sell the PlayStations. They're still shipping all games on the UMDs.
Yeah, okay. But I have a pretty big gut feeling that, we didn't mention this. The Xbox 360 is going to have full game downloads. Mm-hmm. And I think...
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And I think, so you can download entire games.
They already have that, though.
Well, do they have...
it's just that they're expanding that library to include more current AAA titles.
Oh, so it's not just arcade stuff?
Yeah. Oh no, you can already get full Xbox and Xbox 360 games on Xbox Live.
I thought the only full games you could buy that weren't arcade were just old Xbox games.
No,
but now here's the thing.
The library is very small though. Now they're expanding it to be a big thing.
I would not be surprised if the next Xbox, the Xbox 560, 460, 660, whatever it's going to be called, I bet it's all download. I bet it's all download.
It's possible.
And I think you're going to have the same problem.
And I will have the same problem. And you know what? I'm not saying that I now see with the PSP Go.
But you use audio download services. You don't have a problem with not having CDs. But of course you have those all in MP3 and you can back them up. Yeah,
exactly. It is. It's very, very different.
You need to have a tool that you can get them off that device because these things do fail. And it's especially the Xbox, but these things do fail.
Now, if Sony comes out with, let's say, the PlayStation 4 or the Xbox 5072 or whatever,
and you can transfer,
and it's only download only, but there's great games for it, I'll still buy it and play the games. But the PSP Go, I can still get a PSP that'll play the discs. The discs are the same price as the download. So
that's dumb too. The downloads should be cheaper because there's so much less overhead.
I'm just saying. But I see the benefit. I get that it's kind of cool and handy and convenient.
My argument is this: I almost would be willing to guarantee you that every future iteration of that gaming platform will allow you to transfer the games.
Yeah,
because
I hope
every version is going to have more processor, more drive space. It's going to be like
it's just going to be an ever growing collector.
When the
of
360 first shipped, it came with a 20 gigabyte hard drive. Now you buy it today, it comes with 120 gig, and that's still crazy low. When the next one ships, I guarantee it's going to have like a terabyte drive or something like that.
It really is.
And
crazy.
So the only problem is eventually that product line will end. Then you're kind of stuck, but. I don't like it either. Now the more I talk about it, I don't like it.
I don't like it, but honestly, I'll go with it. It's just that when I have the choice, of course I'm going to go with the one that costs the same, and I can just go out and... I mean, come on. If you can play the same games on a PlayStation Portable or a PSP Go, and you can go out right now and get a used PSP or even a not used PSP for cheaper than a PSP Go, and the game's the same price, and then you own them forever.
Well, look at this situation.
Then why would you get a PSP Go?
There's been a few times where one of us has bought a video game and the others haven't bought it, and then we go over to do CastaBlasta,
and we bring it with us.
We bring it with us, and we throw the disc in the guy's console.
Now, with a PSP Go, you can just bring it, of course, and show them on yours. But if you're on a PlayStation 3, you're stuck at home. I'm not unhooking my PS3.
If I play a game and I'm done with it, I can't be like, well, here, Brian, I know you weren't really too interested in this game, so I'll just let you borrow the disc for a couple of weeks.
Can't do it.
I'm not going to let you borrow my whole PSP Go.
Can't do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The more I think about it, the less I like it.
The less I like it. And honestly,
I like it for convenience, but I want to have a hard copy.
That said, though, it'll probably sell pretty well. When Nintendo, had their DS.
So? I mean, the current PSP.
Well, if you look at the DS sales were horrible originally.
Yeah, when they first announced, but it's pretty good now. It's great.
But they're very, very strong now. But when they first came out with the DS, it was lauded as, can you believe this? Nintendo's putting this sort of crap on the gamer community.
Right.
And what really, really changed
How
things
many DSs have you bought? 3? 4?
3. They came out with the DS Lite. It was smaller.
Yeah.
It was cuter. It was more pocketable. It was more friendly for the casual gamer. Mm-hmm. The PlayStation Portable has very much been a hardcore gamer device until now.
Yeah.
It's only with hardcore games, and it's black, and it's big, and it's sleek, and it's monstrous. And now they've got this little tiny one that can download games and have a store, and you can get Hannah Montana games for it, and all this sort of thing, and it's going to sell better.
Yeah, I could see it.
And it's about 80,000 times more powerful than Nintendo DS.
It's going to be like $250 and euros. I think that's the price.
Yeah, it's pretty expensive, but it's still.
It is kind of expensive. It's more than a Wii, isn't it?
It's more than a Wii.
Huh. Probably has better graphics too.
It does. Right. Actually, the PlayStation Portable is a better piece of hardware than the Wii, but that's okay. Oh,
yeah, but you can't play bowling. What's
sad? Hey, so to wrap up their 3 conferences, the Nintendo, the Sony, and the Microsoft. Basically, Nintendo just looks like a giant tool, and that's what came out of all that.
Well, with my approach with Nintendo is right now instead of Nintendo, see. You're mad because Nintendo is not serving the gaming community at large. They're serving a very large niche, and that's working well for them.
I don't know.
They need to step it up, but so they're catering to a community that is successful for them right now.
You know what it is? It's Sylvester Stallone all over again. Sylvester Stallone is badass, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we can agree on this. Cliffhanger, right? Rambo, Rocky.
Right.
I mean, come on, Sylvester Stallone's badass.
Right.
Stop or my mom will shoot. Remember that one? Remember when you basically thought, hey, how come you're the most badass guy in the world and now you're Estelle Getty's son?
Remember
and,
when Schwarzenegger did that one where he gets pregnant? It's that same thing.
Yeah, Junior.
Yeah, but they did come back and make cool movies again.
See, this is what I'm saying. I've been waiting, Nintendo. Come on.
Yeah.
It's been a couple of years
They're
now.
having
the Don't Stop or My Mom Will Shoot,
Yeah.
Junior and Twins, period. Okay,
Yes.
Twins was kind of cool. That was kind of fun.
I was going to say
But
Kindergarten Cop, but I kind of
Kindergarten Cop was kind of good. I like that one. But he was still a cop, man.
Yeah, exactly.
He
Still,
saved
yeah.
those people.
Yeah.
So, but okay. But you guys get my point here. I'm waiting for Nintendo. They are the big kid on the block. It was always Atari, Nintendo, Sega.
Right.
Those were the guys. I mean, Hudson and 3DO and Panasonic, they all made Go's and SNK into the gaming console world. But Nintendo and Sega, they held on there. They're like, you know what? Nintendo's like, we own 8-bit. Oh, here's 16-bit? A few people beat us to it. Oh, well, what's this? The TurboGrafx? Yeah, they beat us here by a long shot. But we're Nintendo. Get out of here, mother effers.
Right.
Super Nintendo. Now you're playing with power.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Super power.
Here's
And
the thing.
then everyone was like, well, yeah, obviously you need a Super Nintendo. The N64 came out. Now they kind of started to botch it up a little bit, but they still had some badass stuff going
they did.
on.
Yeah, hello.
And then the Cube, they kind of botched some of that up. But even in botching it, some
There was some
major
good
badass
games.
stuff
Yeah,
going
there
on.
was some good games.
And then they're like, you know what? Let's stop being awesome right now. And then that's where it's at for a while.
Maybe they're just like regrouping and they're recharging and they're taking in all this money from reusing GameCube
hope
hardware
so, man.
and then they're gonna come out with something and they're gonna be like, boom.
You think so?
Boom.
Now, see, there's the thing. When the Nintendo DS first
Or
was
they're gonna
coming
decide
out,
this makes so much damn money they're just gonna keep doing this kind of thing.
do you remember when the DS first was coming out? How Nintendo said explicitly, not explicitly, they fed the rumor mill that the DS was going to come and it was not going to be the successor to the Game Boy Advance. It was just going to be this
Yes.
cool, interesting
Yes.
device with a touchscreen for different kinds of games.
Yes, I remember that.
And then there was going to be later in the year a hardcore console that was going to be the successor of the Game Boy Advance, like the Game Boy
Yes.
Advance 2 or Extreme or something like that, that was essentially going to be a widescreen, very much more powerful, and they were
Right.
saying on par with the GameCube in
Right.
portable form.
Right.
And basically they saw that, well, things will sell kind of good if we half-ass it, so let's never make good games again.
Yeah.
And they just scrapped those plans.
I do worry that
That seems to be where they've gone, and it sucks. And it's I mean, I'm a Sega guy. I would love to give my money to Sega, but without Sega, I want to give my money to Nintendo.
do you
That's
think-
my childhood. That's where I want to go.
Now, do you think that
Also, I'm warm, and it makes my underwear sweaty.
the competition now is in terms of just raw gaming is it's desktop computers and it's Xbox and PS3?
Yeah, in terms of hardcore gaming, for sure.
Now, just really quickly, I just want to mention one of the things I'm really excited about is Left 4 Dead 2 is going to be out.
Oh yeah,
and
that's
that was
fun.
a great
Left
game.
4 Dead 1 was fun.
And whenever you get a chance to kill zombies in a co-op mode, I'm all about it. So that was good. And then there was also some really sweet footage from the Star Wars Old Republic video game.
the massively multiplayer online game, because there has been Star Wars Galaxies came out a few years ago.
Yeah.
And it was awful. And no one plays it.
It looked
It still
amazing.
exists.
I don't know if the video was all pre-renders, but I was like,
they're being pretty
drooling.
cagey about that. I think.
I was drooling. I mean,
It looks good.
It looked like it looked better than like the Clone Wars.
Well, it's from BioWare, right?
but
So,
the Clone
it
Wars was
great.
something that was out in the theaters, and this looked
way better.
Way better.
Way better. Way better than the
So
Clone
it had
Wars.
to have been
yeah.
pre-render.
It
but
looked really good, but just the
I'm
same.
getting excited.
If you make a really great, massively multiplayer game in the Star Wars universe, I'm in. Just like I would have been in with Star Wars Galaxies had it not
don't
sucked.
want to get back
I
into
just don't want it to
PC gaming. I don't want to deal with video cards and processors and all that.
But you gotta
like
realize
console gaming.
You're going to.
Well, when
Star
Star Trek
Trek
Online,
Online,
yeah.
yeah.
Well, I'm still holding a little bit of hope there'll be a 360 version.
Come
or a
on,
PS3 version.
Cryptic puts out good games. And
I-
Star
I
Trek
just-
Online, I have a lot of faith in. A lot of hope.
I do really like having a mouse and keyboard though. So.
I do too. All right, so I wanted to touch on one more thing from E3 specifically, and somewhat game related. So for those of you, I guess if the only way you probably know about this probably is from the movie King of Kong. So Steve Wiebe has been announced for a while that there's a kind of like a Twin Galaxies /E3/G4 event where Steve Wiebe is going to be trying to take back the title of the highest score on Donkey Kong live, and they streamed this thing live at E3. Now, to give you an idea of how freaking hard we're talking here, in order to make this happen, you've got to get to the kill screen in Donkey Kong, which like half of a person has done. It's not exactly easy.
Half of a person?
It's hard to get to the... Wow. I've never gotten anywhere close to the kill screen in Donkey Kong. Basically, the kill screen is, of course, you get to the point in the game where it's just like, you know what, they didn't code it anymore, or there was a bug, or something happened, and the game just screws up and you die instantly. In Donkey Kong, it really is the last level starts and you just die.
Yeah.
So he had to get to, and the score was 1,050,200, or he had to beat that.
1,050,200. That is a score.
That is a score. I think my highest score on Donkey Kong is like 150,000, so a tenth of that. And that I was super proud of and told all my friends for a week. So that, of course, was previously held by the jerkmonger, who will remain nameless.
Oh, a little hostility there.
Yeah, just a little bit. It's Billy Mitchell. No one likes Billy Mitchell. So sorry, Billy. But anyway, so that it's been kind of a contentious thing in some circles. But just the same, here's the thing that I got to give kudos to this for. This is a really hard thing to attempt because Donkey Kong is a freaking hard game, and in the competitive gaming world, to get the higher score, Donkey Kong's kind of a big one because come on, it's Donkey Kong. It's the first Mario game ever, so it's kind of a big deal. So Steve Wiebe decided he was going to give it a shot at E3, and this guy has the balls to attempt it live, streaming from the middle of the Electronic Entertainment Expo. And that is insane. I mean, the odds of someone reaching that high of a level or anywhere near that are so slim and take so much skill that even with, just luck and outside influences and the need to take potty breaks and whatnot coming into it.
Oh, no kidding.
Because in order to hit the high score, you can't pause or anything like that. It has to be with a stock board and you got to keep playing through. That's not easy. So he started this morning and reached a score of 923,000 during his first go. So he almost hit it on his first go. He tried again, reached like 600-some thousand. Okay, that's still like worthy of being in the top 10 amount of scores. He made another attempt, and the power went out. Seriously.
Oh, man. Like,
sitting in the middle of E3, live streaming live with G4 backing him and all this sorts of things, and the power goes out. So power comes back on, he tries a fourth and final time, and he gets to 400,000 points, and he does finish the game. He hits the kill screen, so there's no way of getting any more points, but he was still going strong. Didn't make it. So he is now still the number 2.
Wow.
But I got to give the man props because that takes guts and balls and skills all combined into one super manly video gaming package. Steve Wiebe, way to go.
Wow,
Just
how about that?
Say that?
The Brian's hat is off.
Dude, seriously.
If you wore a hat, which you are not today.
In terms of that, I mean, dude, that takes guts. That takes guts. So, to you, Mr. Man, that's friggin' holy man.
All right, so excuse us while Brian and I both choke down some ice water because it's
so
like
gaming.
2,000 degrees.
Let's move gaming off to the side.
Okay, so that wraps up the E3 stuff.
That wraps up the E3
We're gonna move on to
stuff.
news now.
I think it's important to note that John and Jeremy both emailed me while we were recording this, and they wanted to point out, John wanted to point out that I made a mention of a Hannah Montana game, and he wanted me to call out that it is specifically Hannah Montana's Breakfast Pony Party, and not to make fun of it. And Jeremy also wanted to make a call out here to the Care Bears game because he's really excited for that one.
So I missed those two. So I'm glad those guys made sure to write in so we got that.
So thanks, Jaron and Jeremy, for your contribution to today's show. All right, so let's move into the movie news. We got a little bit of movie news I want to talk about because there's some kind of interesting stuff going on.
When are we doing the Terminator review? Is that coming up?
Terminator?
The new Terminator Salvation movie review?
See, the thing is, I kind of wanted to wait until... Should we wait until the other boys are here, or should we just review it?
No, I synced up with John, and I got his opinion on it.
So we ready to roll?
I'm ready to roll whenever you want to do. I didn't mean to interject.
All right.
No. I got it.
I was thinking that we'd wait because the boys aren't here.
I don't want to wait. I got.
All right, we're ready. So Terminator Salvation. Let's
sure you want to do it right now?
I'm ready.
Okay, go for it.
So first off, I want to get this out of the way up front. directed by McG, which 3 things I want to note about McG. 1, Chuck. 2, Supernatural. 3, awesome name. So McG gets a lot of harshness around these parts, especially from John. Doesn't like the McG much.
Well,
not really sure why.
Come on, because he's done a few stinkers.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Name them real quick.
I don't remember them, but he has done a few stinkers.
You like Chuck?
You want me to look? I know he's done a few good ones too.
You like Supernatural?
I'm just I've
so
never
what
seen
you're saying?
Supernatural.
What you're saying is the world would be better off with or without McG. I'm just gonna say with Chuck and Supernatural.
How involved is he with Chuck? Hold on, that's got to impact my decision. Because depending on his level, is he like J.J. Abrams and how involved he is with Fringe, or is he like, is it like he's more directly involved with Chuck?
All right. Well, while you're looking up and doing your investigative research, I will move on with the rest of my review then.
Okay.
All right. So Terminator Salvation. So here's the thing.
Yeah.
I was a little disappointed in how little it tied in with the TV show. The Sarah Connor Chronicles.
Where's the link for the thing? It's stupid.
I actually really liked the Sarah Connor Chronicles.
Yeah, I was hoping for some more tie-in too, to be honest with you.
And there were parts of the movie that were very good, without a doubt. Some of the action scenes were great,
amazing. Some of the best we've seen in a long time.
In the trailers, I won't give too much away, but there's this scene like where they're like driving on a bridge and like this big flying Terminator thing blows up the bridge. That is like one moment of 50 that are like, oh my God, heart pounding, you jump out of the seat. That was freaking awesome within that 20-minute solid of action sequence.
Right.
And that they managed to cram that much awesome action
here's
into
some,
it.
Here's some McG best of Pussycat Dolls present Girl Alicious.
Okay, no, wait a minute.
He was in.
All right,
but not just that. Pussycat Dolls present The Search for the Next Doll, and also
Spaced, also good.
The OC. How about that?
All right, give me that mouse. Give me that mouse. Give me that mouse. I'm gonna show you some
I'm just
good
telling
stuff
you
here.
right there. No, there was up there. Chuck's up there. Supernatural's up there.
Oh, you're finding Chuck and Supernatural.
He's doing the new 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea.
Yeah,
so.
we already knew about that.
Yeah,
we already knew about that. But see, come on, you can't look at his old stuff. You got to look at his new stuff.
Well, but you mention Felicity all the time when we talk about JJ, so I'm just putting that out there.
Okay, so here we go. He's directed some Chuck. He's directed some Terminator Salvation.
No, he's done some good stuff, but so has JJ Abrams, and you crap all over JJ for doing Felicity.
Well, that's because J.J. Abrams is a douchebag.
All right, so back to...
First of all, J.J. Abrams is not McG. I mean, what are we going to call him? JJ? No, JJ just sounds lame. McG, y'all.
No,
he
Brian.
sounds like an Irish gangster at that point.
No, Brian. The way that...
I'm sorry, you lose.
Okay. So
movie.
As far as the action scenes goes,
the action
some
scenes,
great ones.
Some great ones. They did a great job on a lot of elements of it. I thought the ending was a little weak overall.
Yes, no, that's because the ending was extremely weak. Come on.
It was pretty weak. It was pretty weak. Chris is right. This is, you know what? I just downplayed how weak it was. It was incredibly weak.
I don't want to say why because I don't want to spoil it.
No, don't spoil it.
Here's the thing. So there was some amazing effects in this video, and then
off
in this
the charts
movie.
good.
And then there was a few times, like I don't know if you remember the spot, but he walks in front of Marcus walks in front of a beat up Hollywood, the Hollywood sign, and his green screen effect looked as good as the green screen effect we're doing right now live.
Yeah. Right.
It was bad.
It was really bad.
And so there was a few times where it really jumped out. The other thing was
production quality.
They cut a few things that were like vital, I think, to some things making sense. Like there's a spot where a resistance fighter sort of jumps ship and decides to help out Marcus once they find out he's a Terminator.
Right.
And you kind of look at that and you go, why would this person who's probably been in the resistance since she was a little girl
do that?
And then so they cut out like this whole like love scene between them and like this whole other scene where like they go back and forth and all they left was her laying on his chest saying he had a strong heart. And then also there's a fight scene where he helps her and these guys walk up to her and you're like, we've been watching you. And you're like, watching her what? Well, they watched her topless, but they cut that from the movie. So it lost some weight. There's a few things they cut.
Yeah, I think and they also changed the ending.
Yes. To include more Christian Bale, basically.
To include more Christian Bale.
What did he bring to the John Connor role? what did he bring to that character?
Not
he
a
didn't
whole
bring.
lot.
There was no development.
I'm going to be
There was
honest. Christian Bale was the wrong guy to cast for John Connor in this movie. I like Christian Bale was good in the Batman movies. Don't get me wrong. And I've seen him in other stuff. He's good. He's a good actor. He was not John Connor.
No. And here's the thing: is you
he
didn't
was
need to have
so
Christian Bale do it because there was nothing that was brought to it. There was no like, oh, I want to see the next thing that happens to John Connor.
No.
The other thing is you just jump into John Connor and he's a dude in the Resistance. Some people think he might have a few ideas and some people think he's a tard. And
but that's not the way. We already have some knowledge.
All along with Terminator 2, Terminator 3, Sarah Connor Chronicles, you never really see the point where the punk kid becomes John Connor.
Right.
And so we still didn't get to see that. We never got to see that.
Yeah, we never got to see that.
Why not make this movie about John Connor becoming John Connor, taking the role, and then at the end of this movie, it's like, okay, John Connor's here and he's a badass. Instead we got he's a guy. And the thing is on top of all of that, they worked in this big twist that wasn't a twist at all because they spoil in the trailer that Marcus is a Terminator. You never ever think he's not a Terminator.
No,
so you're ahead.
No.
You're ahead of John Connor. You're ahead of Christian Bale. You're ahead of all the cast. The entire first half of the movie.
They also, though, to be fair, they kind of set it up in like the first scene or two of the movie.
Agree, but they shouldn't have done that either.
They tell you pretty much that it's not like a big surprise.
They shouldn't have done that either. They shouldn't have done the death row scene because first of all, it was stupid. So that's what death tastes like. Really? You actually wrote that? You're a professional writer and you wrote that freaking line. And so why even include that scene? And then but think about it. If you wouldn't have known Marcus was a Terminator, that'd have been badass. Like if you wouldn't have found out he was a Terminator until that way they revealed it to the cast, that'd have been great. But what happened was you were just waiting for your heroes to figure it out.
Yeah,
and
you were just sitting around waiting
for an hour. You shouldn't be ahead of the cast.
Yeah, luckily again, the action sequences were top notch.
Yes, absolutely. If you're going for it as an action movie, it's great. If you're going for it as part of
the Terminator chronology and epic, it was better than Terminator 3. I'm going to give it that much.
Yeah, I agree.
Terminator 3 was no good because the actor they had playing John Connor in Terminator 3 was also not a good John Connor.
Mm-hmm.
Now the guy that we had for 1 and 2, good John Connor. The guy we had in Terminator Sarah Connor Chronicles, good John Connor.
He was a good John Connor starting season 2. The first season he was just a whiny brat.
Well, he was a whiny brat in Terminator 2 also.
They did a good job. They did a good job.
It was how it was supposed to be.
Here's the thing, Brian.
Yeah, Chris, lay it on me.
Terminator movies are not so much science fiction. They are, but they're horror movies.
Yeah.
Terminator 2 and Terminator 1 is creepy.
Yeah, it is.
Like,
it's dark. It's creepy. Most of it takes place at night. Most of it takes place after a rainstorm. If you watch, like all the streets are wet and glistening. People are dying. They go into dive bars and they're getting shot up like crazy.
Yeah.
That's a Terminator movie.
In this movie, the Terminators are just determined.
Yeah.
And also, they have random Terminators like snake Terminators in the water. Snake Terminators. Oh, really? Okay.
All right. I mean, I'm okay with the snake Terminators and everything, but it just wasn't what I was going for.
The main premise of the movie that the whole cast is working towards, I called BS on that.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, really?
For sure.
Really?
No.
That would never work. And then it ends up not working. And
it ends up not working. You're like, well, called it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, that said, I enjoyed watching it for most of it.
Yeah.
There was probably about 20 minutes in there of movie time that I kind of wanted to go up to the screen, rip the screen down, and demand that no one ever see that movie because it's ruining Terminator. But the rest of it was fun to watch. It was great action.
It was, part of the problem is that it was not rated R and the other ones are. But it was...
Really? Yes.
It was like the best of Battlestar Galactica in a movie. And what I mean by that is there's like this kind of love story that never quite gets explained, but it's just arbitrarily thrown in there to have a love story. John Connor's wife is pregnant, but totally unnecessarily so, and doesn't add anything to the story other than she's heavy and she has a belly, and it's like this weird drama stuff that's added just for the sake of having drama, and then some great action. And that's what the best that BSG ever achieved was, in my opinion.
Yeah. Now here's the good bits were the call-outs. At least they did make an attempt to tie in certain things. They showed you the moment at which John Connor gave Kyle Reese the picture
Yes.
of John Connor's
Yes.
mom. So you get to see that point because that's critical to the first movie, and and there's a few moments like that
But
that were good
I'll
call-outs.
here's what John's take was on it: is if John Connor never sent Chekhov back to the original time for movie 1, then none of this ever would have happened. All John Connor has to do is not send his dad, because then the hand never gets found. Then there's never that second chip. None of it ever happens because Skynet's never created. So all they have to do is just not send his dad. And you can't tell me that John Connor, who's traveled through time, who's dealt with all of this, can't think of that when 10 seconds after the movie ends, John leans over and says, well, if he just doesn't send his dad, there's no problem. You see what I'm saying? Because...
But see, the thing is, that's not really how the timeline in Terminator movies works, though.
It doesn't, you're right. But if you think about it, technically
Technically,
they cause
you're
their own
probably
problem.
technically that's probably right. No, well, the
other problem is in Terminator.
No. In the Sarah Connor Chronicles, it was all based on the Turk. The Turk was building up towards
But
that, and in Terminator,
this doesn't follow the Terminator or Sarah Connor Chronicles. It
see,
really
that's the
doesn't.
thing. If it did,
it would actually make sense.
It would make sense.
Now,
so
the other thing,
I was bummed out.
The other thing too, I guess, I mean, you can always
It'd be a great movie to watch on Blu-ray, though.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
I guess there's going to be like 30 minutes of deleted scenes supposedly on the DVD and Blu-ray, so that's going to be cool. But just for a minute, so if you don't want to hear any spoilers, skip ahead a minute. But I just wanted to say a little spoiler alert up front. But what'd you think of Schwarzenegger, the CG Schwarzenegger? I thought it was cool. I thought it looked...
What the heck?
I thought it looked a little fake.
Oh, it looked totally fake.
But I thought the idea was cool.
Yeah.
But you know, this is what it was. Like, you know, whenever we talk about
3D Arnold,
when we talk about when we talk about X-Men and how they did the young Patrick Stewart, and John's always like, that was creepy, and I'm always like, I kind of liked it. Well, this time around, I'm like, that's kind of creepy, and John's like, I kind of liked it. So it's funny, we swapped there. But I thought I just didn't think it pulled it off quite that well.
No,
I thought it was they
odd.
did a pretty good job of making him look like the 1980s. Late 1980s Terminator 1 or early Terminator 1 Arnold. But the other thing is I would have liked to have seen some way that John Connor recognized, oh, this is that guy that's played huge roles in my life. There was no recognition like, oh, this guy or anything like that.
No.
And
no, it was true. There was like no facial recognition from John Connor like, I recognize Arnold.
Yeah.
It was weird.
There's that, but
yeah.
Whatever, it works. What did you think of? How did you think the actor Chekhov did as Kyle Reese?
Oh, as Kyle Reese?
Yeah.
Oh,
did you think? I thought he did a great job.
I actually thought he was good.
Yeah, I thought he was.
Yeah.
Fine.
I thought he was one of the strongest parts of the movie.
Star is Jar Jar Binks in this movie. Star is Jar Jar Binks.
So
Star is a little rock creature that's in Star Trek. Why do these guys keep putting these stupid,
unnecessary characters?
Characters don't even have a line.
The kid who played that, he seemed fine. He did a good job.
He was a girl, actually.
Sorry.
No, a lot of people made that mistake.
It was hard to tell.
It's
hard to tell when you're young.
Why?
The way she was dressed.
Why?
Oh, I feel bad now.
It's just a comedy. It's a Jar Jar Binks rock character throwaway.
Yeah. Now here's an interesting little tidbit. So there's a scene right before one of the big action scenes kicks off where they kind of drive into this gas station and they meet a bunch of people who are like fellow resistance fighters, but not really. They're kind of on their own and rogue, but they're trying to fight the good fight and all these sorts of things and stay alive. In the original script, they drive into a gas station and it's populated with cannibals.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's dark.
And then intense action ensues. And you know what that made me think? The original script sounds kind of awesome.
It does. This post-apocalyptic, or I guess they call it post-Judgment Day world, is not dark enough. Like when you saw the flash forwards and the visuals from the Terminator original movies, like it was nothing but robots stepping on skulls. It was a bad place.
In a burnt landscape,
and
it was awesome.
I'm like, I want to see that. It's scary. It's bad. And this one was
that's what I wanted.
They still had jet fuel. They still had gas. It was like things are bad, but if you hang out over in these locations, not too bad.
Yeah, not too bad at all. Not
and I'm
not
like,
really too bad at all.
So this is the really bad post-Judgment Day world.
And actually, you know what I was really bummed out about? You know the poster and the animated poster they've got where they show like L.A. that's shaped like a skull because of the eyes are blown out with nuclear warheads and everything? Yeah, that doesn't really happen.
No.
There's not a point in the movie where you watch that.
Up.
Nor is there a point where they show you L.A. and you're like, holy crap, giant nuclear warheads went off here.
Right.
It's just, oh, there was a fight and some
there's
people
random
left.
fires and fire blows blow-ups everywhere.
But not like a lot. Just
Yeah.
like some. I was like, well, where's the giant holes?
Yeah.
Where's like the freeways like all collapsing in on themselves and giant craters the size of stadiums? I mean,
Right.
they just weren't there.
And
So I was a little bummed out.
Yeah.
I felt like I got kind of gypped on that one. What can you do? Did I like it more than Terminator 3? Oh, by a mile.
Yeah.
But Terminator 1 and 2 both extremely lot
even-
better.
not even in the
It's
same
like
league.
a whole different thing.
Yeah.
Terminator Sarah Connor Chronicles significantly better than the new movie. In my
agree.
opinion, Terminator 2, Terminator Sarah Connor Chronicles. That's the canon. The other two out.
I think so too. And
If you want to enjoy Terminator, that's what it is.
it's a shame they set it up. I mean, they very clearly set it up at the end for additional movies. And
Yeah.
I gotta say, I didn't walk away saying I want to see more.
I don't really need to see Christian Bale as John Connor again.
Don't either. And
they
I'm
make- if they
generally not
make-
a Christian Bale hater, but
No, I like him, but
I just wasn't impressed.
I like
And
Christian
I
Bale.
wasn't impressed with the movie.
Yeah.
I wish it could have been better. I think the original script, the rated R version, would have been way more badass, but they're always afraid of losing so much money. But you know what? You look at the results, this movie is not doing so great in the box office.
it's not.
And I just got to ask, I mean, I don't know what the numbers would have been, who could, if they went rated R, but it might have been a better movie.
Yeah.
It's too bad. It's a shame. I'll give them a shout out. They did a few things right. Definitely.
They did. The action scenes
Action
were
was
off
awesome.
the hook.
There
good.
was
honestly, if you take a cut of this movie and cut out all the plot and just leave action, I will buy that movie.
the other thing. I just got to give them a quick shout. It's one of the coolest just concepts. I don't know if it's the coolest, but John Connor is flying in a helicopter.
It is an unknown concept, but
well, I just don't know
let's
how.
talk about it.
I think I'm pretty impressed. John Connor is flying in a helicopter, and there's an explosion that goes off, and the helicopter is it's basically taken down.
Oh,
and
yeah.
he crashes, and they never break the shot from the moment the helicopter lifts. And when the
That does look badass,
when the
doesn't
helicopter first lifts off, it's like, oh, so they just put a helicopter in front of a green screen. That looks really bad. And I was so
Yeah.
distracted by how bad the liftoff of the helicopter looked that it took me a few minutes to come back into the movie once we were inside the cockpit. But as soon as you go back
Oh,
inside the
man.
cockpit, you are with him all the way through the crash. And I don't know if I've ever seen that before.
Yeah.
It was great.
What I came away with was, one, McGee knows how to direct action like nobody's business. If you put him in action movies, there's gonna be good action. Number two, don't let Christian Bale anywhere near your script.
They rewrote so much.
They
of
wrote
Christian
so
Bale.
much. Originally, John Connor was supposed to die at the end.
Oh, was he? See, I thought
So the original ending was.
the original ending was like very, 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 very little John Connor. Then towards the end, he takes his role.
Throughout most of the
That's how he
movie,
lived, though.
originally throughout through the original story, and this isn't spoiling anything because this doesn't happen. The original story is this new Terminator guy that's like half human, half Terminator with like a human heart, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's hanging out, right, and he realizes this is no good, and he rips out this little chip from the back of his head that lets the Terminator kind of mother brain control him, right? So now he's a good guy. Great. At the end, though, John Connor, who was in only a few minutes of the movie and was kind of this mythical creature that nobody really ever met or talked to because they got to protect John Connor, aka much like what it should have been the whole time, dies because he just dies. So what they do is, and this is gross, they rip the face off of the Terminator and surgically implant John Connor's face on him. So the new Terminator is like, you know what? The image of John Connor is more important than any one man. This is what keeps the faith alive. So only a few people will know that you're not officially John Connor.
Oh, that's gross.
And you need to go forward and be John Connor.
I don't know
now.
about that.
That was the original ending. And
That'd be kind of cool, I guess, if you did it.
I'm
right.
not super psyched about seeing that ending. But to be honest, it's so much cooler and more badass, and it's dark, it's gritty, and it's more in line with what would really be more Terminator.
Can I just point out one more logic flaw that just kind of bothered me?
Go for it.
Is then we'll move on. It's at this point in time, Skynet's it's new, right? You've got the T600s and the T800s. They haven't advanced beyond that, really, right? They're kind of still in their infantile development stage.
Right.
Because remember, if you think about the timeline, how does Skynet at this point in time even know about John Connor or Kyle Reese? How's that possible?
Hold on for a second. Talk for a minute while I figure this out in my brain.
Because what I'm saying is, if Skynet would have to get to a certain point where the Arnold model was not only developed, but so developed that they captured an Arnold model and were able to send it back in time, the Resistance. Now, we're obviously not anywhere near that stage.
We're not, because they were just now perfecting.
And if
the
you
time
recall from Terminator
travel.
1,
Right.
and I haven't seen it for a long time, my memory's a little rough, but if you recall from Terminator 1,
Yep.
the idea is the Resistance is super close to winning the war, and so in a last-ditch effort, Skynet is doing time travel to prevent the guy that's helping them.
Right, helping them win, yeah.
Right, so it wasn't to the point to where they were nearly winning the war that Skynet even knew about John Connor and the whole time travel thing started. But obviously at this point, they're still very early in the Resistance, and so I don't see, other than maybe it's just word of mouth, how Skynet would know about John Connor.
The crazy thing is, not only did they know about John Connor, but they knew about his dad, Kyle Reese.
That's
they
the
knew
thing.
exactly what his dad, Kyle Reese, looked like.
That's the thing. And now, Sarah Connor Chronicles broke this, but a traditional Terminator canon was you could only travel in time one direction. At the end of Sarah Connor Chronicles, they traveled forward, but in the movies, you can only go back in time. So like remember, it's like this big, it's a one-way trip. It's a one-way trip. So there's not like some Terminator from the past could have jumped forward and said, hey, Skynet, watch out, there's this guy named John Connor, and he's super mean, and so warn them. That just wouldn't have happened. So I'm just wondering, that's something, so I think if they would have done a John Connor origin story where Skynet found out about him through his origin story.
Wait. The one-way trip thing was because the equipment's not available in certain areas. Like if you have, it takes a lot of power and a lot of equipment to be able to do the time travel. That's why it's
right,
a
but
one-way
there's no
trip.
equipment in the past.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Yeah,
to go forward.
Right.
So there was no way
it was built.
But it wasn't built until Terminator Sarah Connor Chronicles, which they don't follow that canon.
Right.
So there was. So as far as Terminator canon goes, there's no way for a Terminator to go forward to warn them.
No.
And there was no way for them to have known about it because they weren't at that stage yet in the war.
Now, see, the only way that this would work is, of course, if Terminator Sarah Connor Chronicles were not canceled, and there might be a season 3 and a season 4, and they could explain a lot of this and work it out.
But
and there are ways to
and if
work
you
it
recall,
out. It's just that there's big gaps in there.
If you recall, there's sort of this exposition moment where Marcus is talking to somebody, basically the voice of Skynet, who explains, we've been trying for a long time to kill John Connor. Well, no, you haven't. You've just started. This is your first attempt. This is your first attempt, but
in terms of their timeline.
In terms of
I mean, they've been trying to kill John Connor for at that point like 30 some odd years, but not them.
Not them. They had just started.
Them, right.
Future them like years down the road. It just started. So they made
actually only like 5 or 6 years down the road, but still okay. Years down the road, not yet.
But it does. So it's just the logic of it doesn't make sense, and it's not that I'm not. I mean, so you know what? Easily, suspended disbelief, not a problem.
Sure.
But I think a good writing team that understood and hell, just watch movie 1 and 2 could have made a better story with the material.
So what you're saying is, just so I'm clear on this, it would have been a better movie had they understood the canon as it existed, embraced it, and instead of tossing it out the window,
or
just gone with it. That sounds an awful lot like other movies we've had recently.
Or had a really creative and fairly good reason to reset the timeline. But doing so in a way that uses canon to do so.
Right. Kind of like JJ Star Trek.
I'm just saying they could have gone that route. They could have claimed something happened in the past that changed everything.
I just
what they should have done is they should have utilized Sarah Connor Chronicles, but
they should have.
I wonder, did Fox go ahead and cancel Sarah Connor Chronicles because they knew that Terminator Salvation was a stinker?
It's possible.
They're like, well, that movie's going to be a stinker anyway.
It's entirely possible.
They know the studios. They already had the writers from Star Trek writing another script before the movie even hit the theaters.
Now, if you really, really think about it, take the guy who plays the Terminator in the new Terminator movie, right, and bring in Summer Glau, and bring in the guy who plays John Connor, and maybe make the movie not set quite so far in the future, like bring it back a couple of years. And essentially make it a continuation of Sarah Connor Chronicles, and let McGee direct it. Mm-hmm. Put in all those awesome action movies. Mm-hmm. Holy Lord, that would have been a good movie. That would have been an off-the-charts good movie.
So that's basically the review of...
it's better than JJ Star Trek, but not by much.
Not as good as a movie as JJ Star Trek.
So let's dive into a little bit of news real quick.
Let's do it.
All right, so let's bang through this. So for those of you who went out and saw the new X-Men Wolverine movie, you might notice that Ryan Reynolds, also known as National Lampoon's Van Wilder, also known as Scarlett Johansson's husband, is playing Deadpool in that movie. He plays the superhero Deadpool or supervillain, depending on how you look at it.
Hate that guy.
I actually kind of liked his portrayal of Deadpool, despite the fact that I was not a big fan of the Wolverine movie. It was okay.
See, I'm not a big fan of him being with Scarlett Johansson. I'm just you got to move on. I'm stuck.
Oh, come on, man. He's kind of hunky. I mean, you know what I mean. You know
Brian
what I'm saying.
says he's kind of hunky. All right, we'll go.
Yeah,
with
it's
that.
official. You can post that on the internet. Put on Ryan Reynolds' Wikipedia page that Brian of CastaBlasta thinks he's hunky. So there's going to be a Deadpool movie, which is kind of cool, and they're not going to kind of wussy it up like they did with the Wolverine movie, which I did like, but I felt like they wussied it up a bit. They're not going to wussy up the Deadpool character in that one. They're going to make his face all scarred up like it's supposed to be, and all the other things. So they're going to base it more upon the comics. That has me potentially optimistic.
I'm with you there.
So okay, so that's good. The interesting thing there is that means that we've got this continually thing going in the X-Men universe that's Marvel, in tandem with all the movies that Marvel is doing, and there are two completely different production companies going with two completely different continuity lines, which kind of sucks. But what can you do? There's nothing Marvel can do about it.
It would be rad if they can complement each other, but at the same time, it's also kind of rad to see what can happen in those different times. You kind of get to see different angles.
It's like having Marvel versus Marvel Ultimates going at the same time. You get to watch both. It's
I guess
fun.
so. Yeah.
In other news of Fox breaking our hearts in terms of sci-fi, they're making a prequel to Alien. So Alien was
done
great.
with the prequels, dude.
Alien 2 was off the charts good. Alien 3 made me wonder why they made Alien 3.
Yep.
And Alien 4, I see, here's the thing.
I
think I used to have a brother named Phil. And I think I killed him when they made Alien 4 in a fit of blind rage.
Poor Phil.
I'm just saying that might have happened. I'm not 100% certain.
I gotcha.
So they're making a prequel, so that way now there's 5 Alien movies, which means, and here's the horrible part, because right now, the ratio of bad Alien movies to great Alien movies is even. If they make a prequel and they don't do it awesome, the balance
you're
will
heavy
shift.
on the bad side.
You're heavy on the bad side.
That's not good, dude.
It's not a good.
You don't want to be heavy on the bad side.
No. It's a very, very bad thing. All right. To follow that up, now here's interesting. The BBC is hinting at a Doctor Who movie, which there was a Doctor Who kind of direct-to-TV kind of movie in the 90s. It was okay. It was nothing to write home about, but it was fine.
They're thinking about trying it again, huh?
A movie, I think. With the current Doctor, David Tennant. So David
the Doctor that's no longer the Doctor.
Well, he's still the Doctor. David Tennant is the Doctor right now.
The Doctor.
Nope, he's still the Doctor. He's the Doctor through the end of the year. Basically, so this year, Doctor Who.
How do they do that? Do they make the movie take place in essentially this year of Doctor Who?
I have absolutely no idea.
Okay.
So this is the thing. They're just kind of hinting at it right now. So David Tennant is an extremely popular Doctor for Doctor Who.
Yeah.
Everyone loves David Tennant. So this is kind of seems to be like a way of just keeping him around for a while.
Or maybe just like a nice send-off.
Yeah, it could be. It could be also the way they transition to the new Doctor. Who knows?
Oh, interesting.
It's not known yet. They're just hinting at it. And honestly, it sounds great. All right. There's a movie coming out about to be made called Paul.
Tell me about Paul, Brian.
Paul sounds kind of interesting. This is the only reason I'm shouting this out is because it sounds interesting. It's about two buddies who are on a road trip across country to go to the San Diego Comic-Con, which I've been to.
You liked that.
And is a ton of fun.
Yeah.
I can't recommend it enough. If you haven't been to the Comic-Con, go to the Comic-Con. So these two buddies are driving across country.
All right.
They're driving around. They drive past roughly Area 51. And there's this alien, I believe named Paul, I think is the concept. And he'd crash landed or escaped from Area 51 or something. Anyway, he basically hitches a ride with these two guys to the Comic-Con. I don't know if they just assume.
So they bring an alien to Comic-Con?
They bring an alien to Comic-Con.
But she'd blend right in. People think he's in costume.
Totally. Well, it's two nerdy guys going to the Comic-Con. They may just think,
Funny.
He's just in costume. I don't know what it is.
That's awesome.
So they go to Comic-Con with an actual alien. The great thing is it's Simon Pegg and Nick Frost.
Oh, okay.
Of course, Shaun of the Dead fame. And then also it's going to be starring Jason Bateman and a lot of other guys.
Do you know who the production company is behind it? Is it like...
I don't know the name of the production company, but the voice of the alien is Seth Rogen. So
that's funny.
Basically,
that could be just a fun movie.
It just sounds like a nerd fest is what it sounds like. It's like a movie made by just nerds about going to Comic-Con, which I really don't see how that could go wrong. So I just really, really like that.
Yeah.
The thing I like about that is
That's
there seems to be a growing trend to make nerd road trip movies. So there was this time, and by that time I mean the last 30 years, where there's been a lot of I'm in college and I'm a frat boy, let's go on a road trip movies.
Right.
And those can be fun, sure. But if many of you have saw Fanboys, it came out fairly recently, over the last 2 years. But if you saw Fanboys, nerd road trip movie where they go to break into Skywalker Ranch. Awesome nerd road trip movie.
There's another one that's coming out really
another
soon. It's besides this one. There's
Oh, is there?
Yeah, I don't know. I'll get the details for next episode.
Okay, get these. But this is great. I like this trend. Hollywood, listen up. Nerd road trip movies, important. All right. Okay. 2 more items I want to touch on.
All right.
And I'm going to save the best one for last.
Okay.
But the second to last one. So Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Joss Whedon's, little pet there.
Yeah.
A lot of fun. Most people like the Buffy. It can be fun. Even if you don't like vampires or teenagey thingies, there's a lot of good stuff to be found in Buffy the Vampire Slayer for people who like fantasy stuff.
Yes.
So the original production company behind the original movie, you might remember, who had Paul Rubens, Pee-wee, as a vampire, which was great. The original production company, not production company, production team. So the director and the director's husband, who is also a producer, decided they want to remake the movie.
Yes.
Without any involvement or Joss Whedon at all. And it's going to be a complete remake, and they're going to take it in a new direction. And it's going to have, because they don't own any rights to the TV show or Angel, the spin-off TV show, or anything like that, it's just going to be roughly based on the first movie, redone completely with, sounds lame.
I don't get it. Why?
Why do that?
First of all,
everyone likes Buffy. It has huge amounts of street cred, and
and it's like one of those things where this just doesn't. It's not really the same genre, but you look at Seinfeld. You know what? They called it at the top of their game, and they've never. And I'm sure
they don't go back and remake it.
They have gotten millions of dollars to offers to make another one.
Sure.
And you know what? They're like, you know what? Now we ended
We're
good.
done.
We're gonna leave.
We called it.
That's what some people in Hollywood just need to do.
They just really need to do that. All right. So the last news story I want to call out is a video game. We start with video games. We're gonna end on video games.
Okay.
Grand Theft Auto 4. They do episodes, right? Episodic content on the Xbox 360.
Yeah.
They did one of those, so if you bought the game, you get to download a new episode and play through a new storyline. Right. So they got a second of the episodic content coming out called, and I quote, The Ballad of Gay Tony. And the graphics for it are fantastic looking, in that the logo is all rainbowy with like 1970s disco glittery going on. So, I'm guessing there won't be anything homophobic or gay-related jokes in that.
That's going to be fun, though.
At all.
I wonder, you almost wonder.
I just really like the name, The Ballad of Gay Tony, in Grand Theft Auto. The game that is synonymous with buying a hooker, killing her, and stealing her money is now making something called The Ballad of Gay Tony.
You have to
wonder
wonder
where this is going.
You have to wonder if they almost just do these things these days just for the press.
Oh, for sure. The next one is Fred who rapes a puppy or something like that. They'll just keep stepping it up a notch to make sure they get more and more press.
Yeah. So I just really quick before we wrap for the day. I know this is an exceptionally long episode, but we had to cover E3.
It's a big show.
One of the guys who hangs out in our chat room is him and his buddy are working. Well, him and a couple of guys from our chat room are kicking around the idea of making an open source,
a horror game.
Yeah, basically, exactly, a horror game that they thought if anybody out there has any interest in getting in on the action, they'd love to talk to you. So hit them up. You can either find Jordan in the IRC chat room, which you can get the details for that over at jupiterbroadcasting.com/live, or hit Jordan up on Twitter. He's Jordan C. Darwin, all one word, on Twitter.
Yeah, fantastic.
Jordan C. Darwin.
Fantastic.
So if you feel like
just playing around,
cut
having
your teeth
a good time
with some cool gaming.
Let's wrap this up. I am drenched in monkey sweat right now. This is a hot episode, guys. All right, so if you want to join in all the fun in the chats, if you have a thought about this episode, head on over to jupitercolony.com. That's our forum. Have a lot of fun there. There's also CastaBlasta at jupiterbroadcasting.com. That's an email address. You can also get a hold of me and Chris at twitter.com/Brian Lass, BRYANLAS. His name's Chris Lass. So you can do it. You can do that. You can also check out my blog at lunduke.com or him at bin-falls.org.
There you have it, everyone.
It's a ton of fun to do so. And also, of course, we're streaming live here, JupiterBroadcasting.com, again, /live.
Yep.
We tend to do most of our shows this way now.
Yeah, it's fun.
Nowadays,
It is
on
fun.
the internets.
It's a great one to do live.
It's good times. It's good times
There
for all.
you have it,
Maybe
Brian.
next time, there'll be more people here.
Possibly.
What do you think?
Never know.
Who knows?
All right, well, thanks so much for tuning in this episode of CastaBlasta. Next episode's out in 2 weeks.
Later, guys. I am so warm right now. Holy moly.
It's nuts.
My underwear is soaking wet.
It is crazy.
It is nuts
It is
right
crazy
here.
hot.
Part of me wants to take all of my clothes off right now.
We got to wrap.
I don't
We got to
actually
wrap,
want
you
to.
guys. Thanks for watching the live show. My headphones are soaking wet.
Holy God, you guys.
That is so gross. Look at that.
Oh my God, that is glistening.
So, all right, everyone. Well, I hope you enjoyed this episode of CastaBlasta.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us in the chat room in the live stream. It's going to be out later tonight.
I'm going to make
produced
Jeremy
version.
wear these next time. I'm just going to leave these right
All right,
here.
you guys. We're going to shut down and turn off these lights, but hope you
Later,
enjoyed the
all.
show.
Oh, gee. Mother of mercy.
I got to go jump in a bathtub full of ice. You know what I mean, Brian?
Well, that'll be really convenient when I steal your kidney.
That's a weird place to go.
It's not that weird.